The first thing I'd like to do is to welcome you all for coming to this. This is an opportunity that we have to decide whether we are able to engage more of the community in a proposal that we develop our own energy systems. And it's part of the Hay Resilience Initiative, which begins, as you can see on the left-hand side, with a red pillar, which is Hay Food. The objective of that pillar is to ensure that we will be fed into the future. Now, I need to put this in the context of what's going on in the outside world. I think about 2 weeks ago, the United Nations clearly said that we had broken 1.5 degrees of warming, and that we were off course to be able to continue to have a habitable planet. And that was then repeated again by the Met Office yesterday, who said that last year was the hottest year we've ever had, and that this thing is going to get worse, and the chances of us keeping below 1.5, which was considered to be as safe as you could get, are rapidly disappearing. So about 3.5 years ago, I've been reading the science now for a while. I read the science and I could see that this was coming down the line, which is why I started thinking about what can we actually do. And what I wanted to do was to find a way of ensuring that after I'm not here, that our community can survive. So what we're talking about here, mostly as far as I'm concerned, is our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren. And the question is, can they be fed, and can they keep warm and have energy? And what are we going to do to address mental well-being? Is there any way that we can catch ourselves or change the culture around mental well-being, for example, where it's okay to be not okay, but it's not okay not to talk about it? And if we can change the culture so that when we're feeling down, we actually are able to say to our neighbor or our friend or whatever, I'm actually feeling pretty down at the moment. Then if we as a community have set up mechanisms by which we can engage people in communal activity, that's one of the best things that we can do to stop people going down a slippery slope where eventually they need medical intervention, because there's going to be less and less medical intervention available. So survival for me seemed to be those three things: food, energy, and mental well-being. And if we could put in place the institutions to do that, run by community assemblies, which effectively mean that we take agency over what happens, that we're the ones who decide how it's going to work, then we have a system which actually is one which is available to all. So basically there are a number of things that this model does. The first one is it's a systems change model. It's actually changing the way in which we do politics together. It's a strategic approach because it's designed to work for the whole community by addressing more than one thing at a time. It mobilizes and motivates citizens. That's the objective of it, so that we're testing it here. Because if this works in our community, then the government are really quite interested in rolling it out or offering it to other communities to have them implement something similar, rather than people doing this project and that project and the other project. You're actually looking about resilience, you're looking about survival of the community. It gives people agency over their future, generates sustainable food and energy, introduces deliberative democracy, which is what this is. This is where everybody has a say, and their say is listened to, and it's recorded, and collectively we decide what we're going to do. It reduces our collective carbon footprint because there's a significant savings in carbon footprint if we actually produce our own food regeneratively and locally. And also if we produce our own energy. It also originates a community wealth fund. In time, if we do this right, between 5 and 7 years, it's possible for the energy generation to return a profit. And that profit would go into a wealth fund, which would be controlled by the Hay Resilience Cooperative, which belongs to the entire town. And the town would then be able to decide how they were going to use that, depending upon whatever the circumstances were at the time. And we will show you examples of what other communities are already doing in this regard. It also redistributes wealth, or it enables the possibility for the redistribution of wealth, because the whole object of the exercise is to bring people up rather than to create the divide that's happening at the moment, where the wealthy get more wealthy and those that don't have anything get poorer. And if we can find a way of being able to ensure that all of us can eat and heat our homes and feel that they're looked after, then that's a good thing to do. And it builds, therefore, resilience and cohesion. And generally, this is based upon the idea that you create in a community a sense of hope, purpose, and belonging. And if you do that, then people are aware of the support that they're going to get from the other people in the community. And the basic way in which this will happen is if the whole thing is sat on a sort of cornerstone of kindness. So it's driven by kindness, ultimately. And it will produce more food, more farmers locally, more energy, more nature, more resilience. And more resilience. And that's basically the model. So on that note, we have a number of speakers this afternoon. We've got an agenda where we're going to show you a short film of what's happening in the Orkneys, which I'm going to do next. And then we've got a presentation from John Townend, and he's going to explain to us how the energy sector works and the steps in setting up an energy project. And then we have Simon Walter, who's come up from Langdaffer Green Valleys, and he's going to look at give us an overview of what's happening just down the road in the Krakow area, and also how to elicit community engagement. And after that, or at least there'll also be a small film, a short film, about an organisation called Solar Ray, and it's the largest community-owned solar energy business in the UK. And it's interesting to know what's happening there. Then Sean Cox, Councillor Sean Cox, will be giving us an overview of how the assembly system works and what we're here to do. And then we go into a breakout session. Then we'll have a tea break, and then we'll come back, wrap up the deliberation session that we have, and we will get feedback from the different tables. And basically, then we've got a couple of little surveys. The Welsh Government are paying for this, and thank them very much for it, because I have to say that's really good news that the Welsh Government is supporting community involvement in this issue. And in order to get the money, we have to write them a report. In order to write them a report, we have to get information from you. So there's a little survey at the end, which is tick boxing, basically. And then we have a little one of our own where we need to know, in amongst the room, after you've heard all of this, who would like to talk more about it. And we'll do that informally in a pub on several nights at different times in different places, and see whether we've got the support that we need to go the next way. And the next thing after that is, once we have demonstration that we do have communal support for the initiative and the solar energy, then the next, or at least rather the renewable energy, then we are eligible to get funding in order to do a feasibility study. And after we've done a feasibility study and have a business plan in place and have identified the places where we're going to actually do specific projects, then we are in a position to raise significant amounts of money in order to make this all work. So that's the context in which this is all happening.